it's Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley from Heroes, and Commander Finnegan of Yorktown from a little thing called Star Trek, and you are kneeling before the pod.
With me.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
Hello, and welcome to another force-filled edition of Kneel Before Pod, the podcast that isn't a trap, unless you really want it to be. I'm your host Craig, and I'm here to mark that time of year where nerds everywhere celebrate Star Wars. Next up in our annual pilgrimage to the Star Wars universe is the final film in the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi. Happy May the 4th to you all. May is the last of the summer wine, I guess. Isaac.
Hello.
And Angus.
Good evening in Ewok.
Good evening in Ewok. Ah yes, those guys. Before we get to that, we will move to our soon-to-be award-winning feature, Kneel Before Rise Against. So, Isaac, you go first. What are you kneeling before on this edition?
So I'm going to kneel before the new Hobbs and Shaw trailer. Bearing in mind that I can't actually remember it, but I do remember it was very fun. I suppose it's kind of like Mad Max, like, you know, Fury Road. There's a bit where there's like a load of trucks tangled together. There's a lot of family involved. It does give away a lot of the story because it's like, oh, we're going to go visit the Rock family. There's some fun stuff. Actually, I should really watch the trailer again. I remember really enjoying it. I remember there's like a bit in a hall, but like, yeah, when I've got to talk about it, I forgot. I can't remember much of it. But I do remember it was very cool. But then I was quite sold on the first trailer, and just Fast and Furious in general. And the Hobbs and Shaw are like, well, especially in, well, it was 8 and then a little bit in 7, they are like the best characters, especially the rescuing Dom Toretto's baby in Fast 8. That's a lot of fun. The Rock is always fun and everything. And then I always got like, essentially it's boiled down to like, these are your two favourite characters, and I'm going to just make them versus Idris Elba. You don't need to have a trailer, just say that. It's like the two best people for Fast and Furious versus Idris Elba, but now he has superpowers. So I'm well invested. I'm really looking forward to this. So that's my big thing of the week, or however long it is between podcasts. That's my big thing.
Sounds like the trailer has done exactly what it needed to do to you. You know, it just made you want to see it without really remembering why.
Yeah, it's great. Like, it was all spoilery, but now I'm a spoiler freak because I've forgotten everything.
It's the best way to be.
Yeah, I probably have a little less memory for this trailer than you did, but yeah, I think it looks alright. Angus, you wouldn't know this, but I've recently seen all of the Fast and Furious films.
In one marathon session?
Well, almost. Not quite, over the space of a few weeks. But
okay.
I actually only enjoyed 2 of them. 7 and 8 are the only 2 that I actually liked. I thought the rest were garbage. So,
oh, what about 6 and 5?
Yeah, I didn't like them.
Oh.
Yeah. So this one, I think I've said in a previous podcast, they seem to be answering criticisms of the, or certainly comments that people make about the previous ones. You know, they're basically superheroes, because you have these kind of 2 monstrously muscly men beating on each other or hitting each other with spanners and stuff, and now they're actually superpowers in the franchise. Next they'll be drag racing on Mars. That'll be what's next. That's my prediction.
And I look forward to it.
Are you amped for Hobbs and Shaw?
Yeah, I had heard about it, but didn't catch the trailer, straight away. But then remembered one morning, and so thought, oh, yes, I'm watching this. The first trailer I saw was brilliant, and then saw another trailer for it ahead of Endgame, and yeah, big smile on my face, and I was thinking, yes, can't wait to be entertained by this madness.
Fair enough. Angus, move on. What's your Kneel Before?
My Kneel Before is for the trailer for the new Deadwood movie. I really enjoyed the TV show and kind of caught it well after it'd been on air. Watched all the DVDs. And yeah, I was just disappointed that it was cancelled, didn't really have a proper ending. And then, for years and years, people were kind of campaigning or talking about how cool it would be to finish it all off with a movie. And I hadn't even heard that such a thing was happening until earlier today. And read it online, immediately went to see the trailer. And yeah, I'm in. I want to see more of Deadwood, more Al Swearingen and the rest of the gang. It looks as if most of the cast from the TV show are back for the movie, and I'm hoping that they get a really good, cool send-off.
Is this a theatrical run, or is it a TV movie?
I think it's a TV movie. I think it's going to be shown on HBO, so I will have to find some legal way of watching it.
Indeed. All about the legalities.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I've never seen Deadwood, so I don't really have any further comment on this one.
Well, my last Kneel Before was for Red Dead Redemption 2, so I'm definitely in a cowboy frame of mind right now, so yeah, I'm up for it.
All about the westerns.
Yep.
What about The Hateful Eight as a 4-part thing on Netflix?
See, I haven't even heard about that.
I only heard about that yesterday, but I don't know much more about it, other than I think they've just split it into 4 parts. Which, can't you just pause it? I mean, it's on Netflix already. Just pause it if you're, bored.
So what, it's the same thing, but split?
I don't know. I will research that and put it in the show notes, and then see what happens.
And I will read those.
Isaac, opinion on Deadwood?
I've never heard of it.
There we go. That's a niche Kneel Before then. My one, I'm going to kneel before this new Joss Whedon series that's possibly going to get made called The Nivers. It's described as, and I quote, an epic science fiction drama about a gang of Victorian women who find themselves with unusual abilities, relentless enemies, and a mission that might change the world. So it's kind of like Victorian era Buffy by the sounds of things, which I'm on board for. They've recently cast Laura Donnelly, who was really good in Outlander, as the lead. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that kind of pans out. It's been a while since we've had a Joss Whedon produced TV show, so it'd be nice to see him get back to his roots. Hopefully in a show that doesn't get cancelled after a short run of episodes for a change. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
Why do all his shows end up getting cancelled?
I think he just works with the wrong people. Or sells them at the wrong people, but his real estate's probably quite high in Hollywood at the moment, so as long as the show is good, I have every confidence that it might stick around. But yeah, I'll be watching it.
Alien Resurrection didn't put you off that?
Well, everyone makes mistakes.
It's fair enough.
Yeah. Alien Resurrection. Joss Whedon's one mistake. Except from the other ones that we won't go into. Anyone else heard of this? Just me?
I think so, yeah.
It's even more niche than mine.
Yeah, well, yours has a following of sorts. Mine has nothing because it doesn't exist yet. It may yet not exist. I don't know. But it's got some guy from Game of Thrones overseeing the production. Bernie Caulfield. I'm guessing that's exciting to some people.
Sounds legit.
Yeah, he's got some Buffy writers on board, which is good. Buffy was well written, therefore all these ingredients should add up to a pretty tasty cake, we hope.
I look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah. Right, on to Rise Against. Isaac.
I'm going to rise against the recent James Bond Bond 25 sort of press release thingy, which said nothing and has announced absolutely zero that's new or interesting.
But so Rami Malek's in it.
Yeah, we already knew that Rami Malek was in it, and they decided on the same day that Endgame was out, it's like, we're going to do a big press release. And they didn't announce. Also, they're like, here's some of the cast doing it. like we already knew about Rami Malek, and then the other ones were kind of ones like we don't have names for them, so it doesn't matter. It's like he's playing someone, you'll find out eventually, and like he's playing also someone, eventually you'll find out, but not at the moment. We have no title for it. It literally announced it did nothing. It didn't achieve anything. And I was kind of excited because I do like James Bond films. I was like, oh, quite, it'd be nice to find out what's happening with this movie. So there was a recent thing about Phoebe Waller-Bridge is doing some writing, which I was very happy about. It turns out she's apparently rewritten far more of it than they originally wanted, which is even better. Just let her sort of go wild with it. But yeah, I was hoping that there'd be a bit of information, but all we know is like it's still just Bond 25. James Bond's going to be in it, and like it was just a bit of a like just keeping you updated, and it's sort of like with like a big like keep your eyes out, like we're going to have this big event, this big press event, and it was like I was like, oh cool, James Bond, like that'll be fun, and like yeah, nothing happened. It was just a big nothing. So that's my rise against. It's just sort of the amped me up to hear something about something and provided absolutely zero information. So it's a bit if you want to waste your time with the press release, watch the most recent James Bond one.
These events are always weird because obviously everything's kind of shrouded in secrecy at this early stage. So what you get is you get a bunch of people who are maybe involved with the film sitting around answering questions, but they can't actually answer them. So they're just sitting around being like, yeah, I can't tell you. Good question, though. And then, at least with the Star Wars one, we walked away with a teaser, we walked away with the title, and there was all a bunch of other stuff that was getting talked about, such as TV shows and whatever. But yeah, this is like, what are you having a press conference about? You're just sitting around to remind us that we're making a James Bond film, which we kind of already knew.
Trying to stay relevant.
Yeah. If you're going to do these things, just tell us something at least. I mean, I'm not that interested at this point. I never really am with Bond until it kind of comes out, and then maybe I'll be interested, depending on how good the film is. But yeah, if you're looking to capture me, then yeah, it's not done it. Angus, any thoughts on this non-announcement?
It passed me by, and it's probably just as well that it did, because it sounds like it was a total non-announcement. I, of course, will be interested in the new Bond film, but I'm totally not hanging on for any news or updates or anything. As kind of as you said, Craig, when it comes out, I will watch it and hopefully enjoy it. But yeah, again, I'm not really hanging on the line for for any news or updates of it.
Cool. Me neither. Yeah. So, what's your rise against?
Mine is to rise against special editions, which is kind of due to my preparation for this podcast, where I watched a comparison of the original Return of the Jedi versus all of the updates over the years, and I just kept cringing and thinking, oh no, why did they do this? And I suppose, also coloured by our recent escapades into the Alienverse, for a couple of times we've had to consider, do we watch the theatrical cut or the special edition or director's cut? And the answer is usually no. Just go for the theatrical, because why would you want to subject yourself to the rantings and musings of some auteur director? So
with Aliens, that's the director's cut is the better cut.
Yeah, I know they're not always bad. But I think most people would agree that in terms of Star Wars special editions or adding in special effects for the sake of it doesn't usually work out very well. So that's my rise against.
I don't really have an issue with doing a special edition. Like, that's up to the filmmaker if they want to play around with their own film. I do have an issue with making the editions unavailable. So yeah, when the only version of Return of the Jedi I can legally watch is the crappy version, then I don't think that's fair. I think I should be able to pick which one of the 4 or 5 versions I want to watch. Because why can't I? Like, who's George Lucas to say which one I like best?
Is the most recent one you've watched the special edition?
No, because I have the fan-created despecialized editions, which are amazing. They lovingly recreate the original theatrical cuts of all the films in 720p by piecing together different sources. I'm sure I mention this in every Star Wars podcast, but it's really impressive stuff.
And totally legal.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what they say is, if you're going to download these, then it's on you to make sure that you own the film in some other way. So I've owned those films over the years in several ways, so I'm fine, I think.
Yeah, you're off the hook.
Yeah, I'm just not going to buy the Blu-ray until now that Disney own Fox. They can possibly piece together 1080p cuts or 4K cuts of the original theatrical editions, and then they can release a big set with all the special editions on it that I'll never watch. That'd be nice.
That will be nice.
Yeah. Isaac, what do you think of the special edition concept?
I don't know, because I've not seen too many. They used to happen a bit with Doctor Who DVDs. You could watch it again with, like, new special effects, but they were never very well budgeted. So, like, they never really looked. You might as well just look at the old models instead of like this slightly okay sort of CGI go at the spaceships and stuff. I think we'll get some more in the Star Wars one, but I quite like some of the additions that they've added in, just because they just make more sense, some of them. But we'll talk about that later, I suppose. In general, it's a money making thing. It's like saying, now you can buy the normal edition, or you can buy the one that's got extra things in. So they love when they like you buy the DVD, then next year they release it again, but with extra things. It's always
Truly the charm of watching an old movie is enjoying the old school special effects that kind of take you back to.
I think one of the best examples of special editioning is the original Star Trek series. So when they were kind of bringing them out on Blu-ray, what they did was they remastered the visual effects from the ground up. So you have CGI models of the Enterprise, of the Klingon ships, of whatever's on screen, CGI models of all these things, and they've spliced them in seamlessly. But if you have the Blu-ray, you can literally press the angle button and you can cut back and forth between the original episode and the special edition version. I always watch the special edition version in those cases because they're in HD and the effects are lovingly created. But again, I have the option. I can do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I ever want. Just give me the choice. Don't take choice away from me.
Yeah, with the Doctor Who ones, it tends to be more ones. It's when the episode was like the tape was destroyed, so it's like, oh, we'll release one, and like we'll have a go at sort of making like an animated version of what that episode would have looked like, sort of thing. So I think like those sort of cases are quite good because it's quite charming. But then there are some cases like where it's a bit just, it's not really necessary.
That's cynical.
Yeah, I think the Return of the Jedi one, there's a nice mix of needless over the top ones, and then some that actually make sense. But yeah, so that'll be fun to talk about.
Yeah.
Too.
My Rise Against is going to be the Gotham finale. Any listener to this podcast that's listened to me talk about Gotham will know that I stopped watching it years ago, but curiosity got the better of me and I wanted to watch the last two episodes actually, which had a version of Bane with a worse voice than Tom Hardy's, if you can believe that. It's ridiculous. But the final episode plays out like the pilot to a Batman TV series that I just don't want to watch. It's really bad. Basically, it all builds up to this 2-second shot of Batman at the end in a costume that looks like crap. So, yeah, Gotham ends as it continued, I guess. Disappointingly. Any thoughts on Gotham, Angus? Ever watched it?
I have never seen an episode, I'm afraid, so I am unable to comment.
Isaac, what do you think?
Well, I was going to both kneel before and rise against the finale of Gotham, because not only, it's really boring. It wasn't very good. Like, it was very much, there was a weird Joker plot to do something in this that was not explained, and I suppose I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but who cares? It wasn't. Yeah, it was sort of really half-hearted. However, Gotham's version of the Penguin and the Riddler are by far my favourite versions. Like after this, they have like a weird double act going on, and it is incredibly fun and likable. They're just having like a sort of pantomime style villain, great time. It's super entertaining, especially since there's spoilers for Gotham, I guess, that the finale set 10 years after the episode before it, which is even greater because none of all the characters look exactly the same. But it's like
except Catwoman.
No, except for Catwoman. But like the Penguin and the Riddler decide to team up and become this unstoppable criminal empire, and then like in the next episode we find out they get arrested almost immediately. It's super fun. They're just pantomime Adam West versions of the villains, and I could watch a show just of those two, just endlessly. So it's kind of like the episode itself and the actual plot of the episode was not entertaining. However, I might have to go back and watch specifically Penguin and Riddler episodes just for the pure joy that is like those versions. Especially the finale versions also get like incredibly Adam Westy sort of costumes. Like the Penguin's got like a sort of pink tuxedo, and the Riddler's got all these like question mark suits, and I don't know. Yeah, those two like what we need is essentially Hobbs and Shaw, but Riddler and Penguin from the Gotham universe.
I mean, what you could just do is watch your top 10 Riddler and Penguin moments on YouTube, and then you don't have to worry about.
I could do that, but I want more than 10. I want all the Riddler and Penguin moments.
That might exist as a supercut.
It might exist as a supercut, but I'll have to search it out.
Yeah. So that's that. Let's move on past our Kneel Before Rise Again section. Well done, everybody. We got some stuff in there. So, on to our main topic. We're celebrating Star Wars Day by talking about Return of the Jedi, which is the one we're up to in our run through the Star Wars movies. Prequels next year. That's exciting. So before we start, even though the film is like quite old, we will give our thoughts without spoilers. So, Angus, what did you think without going into spoiler territory?
I think memories of watching this as a kid, loved it because I think everyone knows it's kind of the most kid-friendly of the original trilogy. Lots of fun, lots of interesting new characters and visuals. And then I think perhaps watching it when you're a bit older, you begin to realise why it's not kind of as critically acclaimed as the first two. But I don't know. I was thinking about this today. I was wondering, if it wasn't coloured so heavily by nostalgia, would people enjoy this film as much? If it came out today and it wasn't related to the baggage of the saga and everything else that goes with it, what would people think of it? And I don't know if it would be all that well received, which is probably sacrilege to say, but it doesn't take away from the fact that I still love it, and I watch it and enjoy every minute of it. I think, even though there's a lot of questionable things that maybe people who were watching it back then would have thought, is this Star Wars? The kids loved it. Maybe some of the adults who'd grown up and became a bit too mature for it had aged out of it by then. But I think everyone kind of looks back on it fondly.
Yeah. Isaac, what do you think?
Well, the original Star Wars films aren't they're probably that trilogy is probably my least favourite of the trilogies because the one I watched the least and know the least about. But I reckon this is probably the best of the three films of the old Star Wars films. I think I quite like we get more of the Emperor, who's a lot of fun. Oh, it's not spoiler free. The Emperor's in it. It's quite a fun sort of location. We get some nice, action stuff, and it's probably the best of the lightsaber fights. So I think, of the old ones, of the old trilogy, this is probably the best one, I think.
For me, it's my least favourite of the original trilogy. I think that it's made up of different, I'm just going to say slices. there's different things that make up this film, and I enjoy kind of two of the slices, when the others not so much. I think that tonally it's all over the place. They introduce some stuff that's really baffling. There's some great stuff in it, some like franchise best stuff in it actually, but it's kind of tempered by the fact that there's just utter nonsense kicking about in other scenes. So that's why it's my least favourite of the three. I think Empire Strikes Back is, as we probably said last year, the most complex, the most interesting, the most surprising. A New Hope is a fun romp that introduces us to this franchise, that kind of has retroactive weight added to it because of what came after. Whereas this one, I'm not sure what they were playing at. I'm not sure what Lucas was playing at when he concocted this. I think a lot of people call that the start of the downfall that continued in the prequels, but we'll get onto that, I suppose. So that's me, spoiler free. Shall we head into the spoiler dungeon, the Rancor spoiler dungeon?
Let's do it.
All fighters accounted for.
Proceed with the countdown. All groups assume attack coordinates. All craft, prepare to jump into hyperspace on my mark.
All right, stand by.
Right, now we can say what we want. I'm going to start off with question and answers. We have one question from an audience member. So, Jordan asks, do you think Luke Skywalker is necessary to the plot, or would it have played out much the same way had he not been involved? Would Palpatine still have died? I've often thought about this, because the Emperor vastly misjudges the situation. He seems to think that the rebels will fail, but they blow up the shield generator, which has nothing to do with what the Emperor or Luke Skywalker are doing. It's just, Han and his team and their ingenuity managed to get the job done. So the Death Star's coming down no matter what. I think the Emperor may have escaped had he not been distracted by trying to corrupt Luke. But other than that, yeah, the Death Star's coming down. Either way. It's like the Indiana Jones problem. He has absolutely no bearing on the plot of his own film.
That's what I was going to say. I think there's probably quite a few examples of this where, people are a bit too taken with the hero, or, who's presented as the hero, when they might not actually have all that much effect on the outcome. But because they're the hero, I'm still invested in what he's doing, and, we followed him all the way from moisture farming on Tatooine, so I think he's pretty essential. One of my favourite characters.
I would say he's essential on an emotional level, because he has things that he needs to resolve that have been set up.
Yeah.
When it comes to the whole tapestry of the actual plot itself, as in we need to blow up this new Death Star.
I do wonder how they know that Luke was going to escape, because
I guess they didn't.
They were like, let's blow this thing up. And, Luke had already gone off he committed himself to going and facing Vader.
Well, Han says, I'm sure he wasn't on that thing while it blew.
Could have been so different.
And Lando probably wasn't even thinking about it.
Nope.
He had no idea what was going on. He was just working out how to explain how he's working out how he's going to explain the lost satellite dish.
Trying to figure out what 9-Num's saying.
Yeah, that's a mystery in itself. Isaac, what do you think? Luke's role in this film, is he necessary?
It's kind of like it doesn't really matter that much, like, because we're not seeing the global implications. We're just seeing his story. So yeah, maybe he's not like the most, if you're watching like the news in Star Wars times, like he won't be brought up. But also we're going to the cinema to see like his story. So yeah, sure, if he probably would have destroyed the Death Star if he wasn't there. But like we're going to see his arc get finished. So I'm not like no one's really that fussed about whether or not it's his. He's the one we've been following all this time. So we want to see his story play out. So I don't think it matters too much. Like, yeah, he's not. He doesn't actually. He doesn't save the day in the end, I suppose, on galaxy scale, but we do see the end of his story, which is like the reason the film was made. So yeah, he probably wasn't necessary. However, it's still the most important thing to us. So I count it as it's his, still his sort of film. So it's still fun to see, his involvement.
If the Emperor hadn't been distracted by Luke, do you think he would have had the foresight to get off the Death Star?
Yes. That's why I think Luke's essential.
Vader would have been fine because he wouldn't have left the command ship. No, Palpatine sends him off to sit on his command ship and wait for instructions, so he'd have been fine. Unless he was on that ship that the A-Wing crashed into. There's a big what-if that's going on here. We could rewrite this. What is Return of the Jedi if Luke Skywalker decides to stay on Dagobah and grieve over Yoda? It's a good what-if. There we go. That's our question answered, hopefully to Jordan's satisfaction. We don't know, I guess is the answer. Because it's not our film.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yep. So, Return of the Jedi is the end of a saga. I mean, it's the end of a saga that sort of continues now because, Disney spent $4 billion on the franchise and they want their money back. So they're going to keep making more of them. So we've got another 3 that have always been part of the saga, but never mind. As an ending, what do you think of it as an ending? Do you think it works? Do you think it has problems?
Well, I mean, it ties up some of the loose ends that were left at the end of Empire. We get the kind of, how are we going to ever get over the fact that Vader's revealed to Luke that he's his father? Hands encased in carbonite. Is he going to come back? Does Harrison Ford want to do another Star Wars movie? But yeah, I think, like you said in your spoiler-free thoughts, there's not a whole lot to it, not a lot of stuff has to happen. But, it's a finale, and you get a big Ewok dance party at the end, so I can't complain about that. And, yeah, I still think that there's some pretty iconic stuff in here. I don't think it compares quite as well to Star Wars or Empire. But just, again, from pure nostalgia and just for being able to watch the 3 of them and have a whole kind of trilogy arc, I think it's pretty satisfying. That's probably just my childish mind thinking about it and just enjoying what I'm being given, spoon-fed, some happy ending. But yeah, I think it works from that point of view.
I don't have too much nostalgia for the old Star Wars films, and to be honest, I can't remember them very well. It's like quite a good just sort of movie by itself, just because as an adventure movie, because you get the turmoil and you get the 2 different sort of plots running together. You get Luke's plot and the Rebels plot, sort of like the Endor stuff. So there's a lot of fun in there for people who just going along to see a movie that's essentially a kind of a heist, I guess, because it's like you have to sneak into the, you have to do the sneak past with a spaceship, and you have to, get this in. Well, they've already got the intel, but then you have to shut down the thingy, and so there's a lot of fun sort of stuff happening. So it's it works as just as an adventure movie. I'm not very. I don't know too much about the original trilogy to say whether or not it's a satisfactory ending based on New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. I mean, it's kind of fun. It's all right.
And this is your favourite one of the 3?
Well, so I said to before, when it comes to Star Wars, its sequel trilogy is the best, then the prequel trilogy, then the original trilogy. I really don't care that much for them. I think they don't have a nostalgia thing to me. They're quite slow. I don't really go back to watch them that much. So
I think there you go. I think that's your answer. If you don't have the nostalgia, then this is kind of an honest appraisal of them as films.
Yeah. It's just an action movie, and it does all right.
I think it's satisfying in some ways. I think the Luke Emperor Vader stuff, you can't do any better than this. I think it's it's so dripping in emotion and really heavy stuff. The way that the sort of redemption arc that plays out. You don't really get a sense that Anakin or Vader / Anakin can be redeemed up until this point, and then Luke's driving home the point of no, I sense good in you, and you don't know whether he's just seeing it because he wants to see it or not. But then, there's little bits here and there where Vader is humanity's trying to creep through, and it doesn't quite get there, but until the very end. And I think it's really satisfying. I think that stuff's brilliant. But then you have teddy bears fighting the Empire on a forest moon, which is, why is this in here? I mean, it just makes the Empire look more useless than they already are. They can't defeat these stupid bears. I think the Jabba's Palace sequence is really dull as well. So between the space battle and the Luke Skywalker stuff, totally on board. But I can't believe that's in the same film as these other two things. Yeah, I don't know what was going on here. I think George Lucas wanted to appeal more to kids. Maybe he was thinking about these Ewok movies that are going to get made. So that's why he's introduced these little bear things.
Yeah, it was all about the merch by that point.
Yeah, and it would only get worse.
Yep.
As I said earlier, it's the downfall that continued in the prequels. Why is this character here? To sell a toy. Yeah. Why are we meeting General Grievous in the last film? Because toys. People will want to own this character, but I suppose it gives Star Wars continues giving work to smaller actors in stature, anyway.
That's true, and some on a recurring basis.
Yeah, so that's commendable to some degree. But yeah, it's just weird. It's just the thing is, you watch Empire and it kind of pulls itself together really nicely with everything that's going on. But this, it just feels like there's people at war with each other trying to make this thing. That I want the bears, fine, but I want this deep emotional stuff on the Death Star, fine. Let's put it all together, see what happens. It's like studio interference where there's no studio. It's just George Lucas.
And it feels like some people were quite heavily on drugs.
Yeah, most definitely. The Saving Han Solo plot could have been a film in itself. It feels like something they just need to tie up before they get on with the real story. And I wonder if some of that's down to Harrison Ford finally agreeing to the money that they were going to pay him, and they had to hastily get him back in somehow. Mm-hmm. I think that whole sequence is a mess. Why doesn't Luke take his lightsaber with him? Why does he give it to R2? Does he have to go through airport security or something to get into Jabba's palace? Who knows? But it's really weird that he doesn't have it.
I smell a special edition.
Yeah, where he just builds it and then gives it to R2 in the special edition, doesn't he?
Oh no, where he goes through.
Where he goes through airport security.
Where he goes through airport security, yeah.
Like, put your cape up here, Mr. Jedi. No problem. Pockets emptied. Yep. Gonna need you to take those boots off. Yeah, so that sequence is. But I suppose it's almost a New Hope like that sequence, isn't it? You've got all the characters sort of doing stuff in the same space, and I think that's another thing this film suffers from, is the fact that the main cast aren't always together. They split off into groups, which is, you've kind of had that in the last film, so maybe you want to see them more together in this film. Well, I certainly do. There's only one film where they are together as a cast, and that's the first one.
The Rise of Skywalker, you say?
Yeah, I know JJ said that the cast are together in the Rise of Skywalker. Let's not talk about that.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think are the strongest moments in this film? What makes it a satisfying ending?
I think, as you said, the Luke Vader Palpatine stuff is really good, and was genuinely scary, for a kid, because it seemed like, there was the possibility that Luke was being tempted by the dark side. Even though, you should really feel like, good's going to win in the end. I think that all that stuff is really well done, really well crafted to make you kind of feel really uneasy. Everything about it, I always go on about the music, but yeah, all that kind of eerie Empire stuff at the end as well. And I think Palpatine's really well done, just to be such a sort of creepy, unsettling character. So I think that's definitely my favourite stuff in it. And yeah, I just think that the rest of it is a bit of a muddle, a bit of a mess, just to try and get us over the finish line. It does feel as if they felt like they really had to cap off the trilogy in some way, and just kind of had to have this big bang, blow up another Death Star, fireworks, the end, everyone lives happily ever after. Except when we have some sequels, we'll find out that no, they all went on to have children and break up eventually, and kind of undo all the win conditions that happened in Jedi.
Or if you read the now non-canon expanded universe, you find out that the Empire doesn't get defeated by the Emperor's death. There's still pockets of people that want to keep their jobs, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there are people out there kind of sequel deniers, or people who will just kind of want to think of these three films in a kind of hermetically sealed manner and just think, no, I saw Death Star 2.0 blow up, I saw them all celebrating, and they all lived happily ever after. And it's fair enough if you want to think that, because that was well, George Lucas claims it wasn't the original intention, but for a long time it was all we had.
Yeah.
In terms of films, of course, there was always a bunch of extended universe stuff, but for I'd say for the majority of people who had seen Star Wars, it was Star Wars Empire Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it was for me for a long time. I didn't really dip into the expanded universe stuff. I mean, I've heard bits and pieces about it, and the stuff I've heard about it I don't like. It's like Chewbacca being crushed by a moon and all this nonsense. The Solo children are just evil or whatever, they get killed, I don't know. It doesn't sound that great. I'm not saying that what we've got now is that much better, I suppose, but certainly Force Awakens isn't. To me, anyway. Unpopular opinion alert, but I don't like Force Awakens. So, yeah, it is an ending, I guess. I mean, if you look at it as an end of Luke's journey towards becoming a Jedi, then absolutely. And then just so happens the Empire gets taken down at the same time, so great. The Family Guy joke about or might be Robot Chicken. It's they've killed they've blown up the Death Star. It's like, yeah, but they did that before. And it's like, yeah, but they also killed the Emperor. You had to do both. At the same time as Luke becomes a Jedi and redeems his father. So it's all good. It's all rosy in this universe. Everyone's happy now. Especially the Ewoks. So there's so many stormtroopers to eat. Because that's what they were about to do to the gang. So what do you think they're going to do to the stormtroopers?
Feast.
Yeah. All the X-Wing pilots fly down. They're like, what's for dinner? It's like, people.
Don't ask.
Don't ask. Just enjoy it. Barbecue.
Yeah.
It's all fine. You were talking about how you almost feel like Luke might not prevail in this one, and I kind of get what you mean. I think the scenes on the Death Star, they're sort of dripping in darkness. That eerie music that you talked about is brilliant. Palpatine is so overpowering as a presence. It is that kind of, how the hell is he going to get out of this? But it's also weirdly understated in what he does. All he does is sit there and say, look, your fleet is getting blown to bits. You might as well turn evil now. And then he keeps goading him into killing him. It's like, come on, hit me with a lightsaber. That'll make you fully evil. And then, obviously it doesn't, because he's very committed to staying on the light side.
Yeah, I think it works because there's something about being so close, like kind of touching distance, to two of these incredibly bad characters. One of them the greatest villains to ever have been on a film screen, and then his boss.
Yeah.
You know, it just feels like how is he going to get out of this? You know, it doesn't matter. Even if he tries to fight back, there's two of them. They're easily going to handle him. And then, yeah, you're right. It's just this kind of he's so trapped because he kind of submits himself to it, and then, like you say, Palpatine's just kind of turning the screw, and you think, no, even if he does try to resist, he'll be struck down.
Yeah, and we obviously know that Mace Windu failed to kill the Emperor way back, even though he so easily could have. I mean, whether you accept that or not, I suppose is up to you. But yeah, not even Samuel L. Jackson could bring down the Emperor.
Not even with that sweet purple lightsaber.
Exactly. It's right enough. Anakin did cut his hand off, which made things problematic for him.
It did up the difficulty.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ian McDiarmid in this film is amazing. I think the makeup is a lot harsher than it ever is later on. I mean, you only see it again once in what do you call it, in the Revenge of the Sith, but it feels too much in that film. Whereas here it's just he's scarred, he has the yellow eyes, he looks like, he looks almost Reaperish, I guess.
I do love the Emperor. I think he's always like a fun part of these movies. It's always like, I think he's kind of not charming, but when he's talking to like Darth Vader, he's like, "I am my old friend," or whatever. He has got that sort of creepy glee of just the evil sort of dripping off him, which is always fun. So he's very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, and he loves being evil as well. Clearly revels in it.
Yeah, very sort of sarcastic, or just some of his delivery takes such glee in the fact that he's got the rebels right where he wants them, or so he thinks.
Yeah, and I love that the whole time Vader's sitting there thinking, I'm actually just going to get killed and be replaced with this guy. So that's a good career move for poor Vader. Because Vader's always been the kind of worn out husk of what Palpatine always wanted, like this really powerful apprentice, but Vader is not what Anakin could have been. I mean, at this point, I suppose Vader wasn't necessarily, he wasn't the chosen one. That crap hadn't been introduced yet. He was just some Jedi that fell. So there's no suggestion that he's all that powerful, really, necessarily. I mean, he's powerful as Vader because of his hatred and all the dark side stuff. But the suggestion was that he was just kind of a normal Jedi. I guess as is Obi-Wan. I suppose since they're the only Jedi you know of, you automatically assume they're the most powerful. But I think it'd be more interesting if he was just, he was just a standard Jedi who fell to the dark side, and this is what you get when a Jedi falls to the dark side. It just all goes to pot.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the lack of kind of chosen one or any prophecy type stuff or anything like that, just because there's not really a whole lot explained other than that at one point he was good, now he's bad, and the scarcity of Force users means that everything we've seen him do so far, and just how ominous looking he is. He's got a badass theme music as well. So I think everything that they'd kind of set up to make him the big bad in these films was probably better without all of the explanation afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, as we've said in the Alien stuff, the worst thing you can do is explain things sometimes. You don't need to know. You get enough, you can infer enough from context. It's just, he was a Jedi who made a few bad choices, and now he's evil. He fathered 2 children, as it turns out, and it's very dangerous for those children to be around him. He's also at a senior position in a galactic empire that oppresses, I guess, billions. So, that's something to be defeated. Certainly a problem.
From a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view, yeah. I love it how, even if you don't account for what he talks about in the prequels, Obi-Wan never tells Luke anything that's true. Not one word out of his mouth is true.
Well, 20 years in the harsh desert sun really did a number on him.
What's the whole... actually, it's kind of true because when Anakin became Darth Vader, it was like his original self was destroyed, so what I told you was kind of true. It's like, no, you're still lying. And then when I first met him, he was already a great pilot. I thought I could train him just as well as Yoda. Like, no, that's not what happened either.
Well, Leia remembers her mother. But how?
Yeah, she was kind but sad in those few seconds before she lost the will to live.
Well, the Force. Force memories. It explains everything. The Force.
The Force. And of course, Leia will learn how to use her powers as Luke has.
Yeah, she's got Mary Poppinsing to do.
Yeah, only when in the vacuum of space is she any use with her powers.
Mm-hmm.
The whole sister thing, actually, I mean, that really comes out of nowhere. Like, they do say in Empire, there is another, but that can mean anything. Not necessarily it's Leia. It's, considering they were setting her up as, like, the princess to be rescued, the damsel in distress in the first film. The second film, they have that, let's make Han jealous kiss. And now they're brother and sister.
But it was all planned out beforehand. Making it even more creepy.
Yeah. It's Harrison Ford's face when it's like, he's my brother. He's just like, oh. Like, wait a minute. Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah. And then, like, Luke lies back, relaxes, hands behind his head. I just kissed my sister.
Yeah. But Leia's always known. That's what she says in this film.
Yeah.
That's awkward. Yeah, but I think it does lead to a great moment where Vader's trying to, try to get Luke to bite, trying to get him to fight him, and then he comes around to, you have a sister. It's like, well, maybe I'll just corrupt her if it doesn't work on you, and that's what triggers him. That's when he hits back.
Yeah, it kind of goes against everything he's been told, though.
It does. Yeah.
Don't lash out. Use it for defense, not attack. And everything works out for him, even though he kind of goes against all his training, his 2 weeks of training or whatever he's had.
Well, I think they're sort of setting Luke up as this, as a more pragmatic Force user. He's not very. Like the dark side isn't necessarily forbidden to him because he's able to come back from it. So he's able to, use his anger to give himself a burst of power or strength or whatever in a moment, and then he's able to walk himself back from it. It's almost like he's not afraid of his more negative emotions, which is probably because he grew up like experiencing them, and they weren't forbidden to him, so he's used to them. And I think that's something The Last Jedi does very well. Is brings in this whole, actually the dark side is as necessary as the light side. You shouldn't limit yourself to one or the other.
And I've heard it theorized that because he wasn't brought up in that kind of Jedi temple, thousands of years of only going about things one way, he's got this kind of alternative approach.
Yeah, well, isn't it in the expanded universe, like, his Jedi Order are allowed to have wives and stuff?
You've got me there. I don't know.
I mean, I know who Mara Jade is, for example. That's like his wife, isn't she?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. I mean, in the non-canon legend stuff, anyway. Is it just... It's legends now, isn't it, we call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's stuff that didn't really happen in canon.
Stuff you can believe if you want to.
Anyway, it's quite fun sort of watching him, like, just sort of grapple and twist with all this sort of stuff, because there's a lot of stuff going on for a guy who's pretty unprepared for what, the universe has been throwing at him. So he's got to sort of, he's got to fight off his like, is only recently found out like that thing is his dad, and is only just sort of there's a lot going on in his head. It's fun watching the Emperor, who's clearly just having a great time, just being a mean old man. The standard Emperor being, he's twisting the knife in. He's really trying to get into his head and show him that, he's trying to sort of mold him. And then you got it's good acting from like Mark Hamill and stuff. Like it's more like you were saying yesterday, like how he's mainly known for more like comedic stuff, but he's doing a great job of sort of showing how conflicted he is in this scene, and he's having to take on this sort of basically Darth Vader's like a monster man, just hunting him down in this unfamiliar place while he's being, trying to go over all this stuff in his head, like trying to stick to his principles, but also at the same time, like just trying to survive in the situation. So it's fun watching, like, of all the original trilogy fights, that's definitely like I think the best one, because it's like it's got kind of not high stakes. Well, yeah, it's high stakes. Like there's a lot going on in his head basically.
Yeah.
He's having a bit of a stressful day.
Yeah, it's not the best day for Luke, because there's a lot going on, for sure. I mean, you can debate the sort of light and dark thing till the cows come home, really, and I don't think they'll ever really arrive at a position on it, but my thinking is the whole, a proper Force user shouldn't limit themselves to one or the other, because if you do limit yourself to just the dark side, you turn out like the Emperor. If you do limit yourself just to the light side, you're an idiot who can get, legions of people killed in a galactic empire rising to power. So, like, there has to be a middle ground. I mean, surely it's all about how much you can learn, how much you can understand. And I think Luke is starting to tap into that, because, he has a laugh and a joke with everybody. He gets angry. He is very much governed by his emotions, which makes him more interesting. Whereas if you look at the prequel Jedi, they're very boring because they aren't governed by their emotions. They're just trying to be as stoic and monk-like as possible, which is really dull. So I think it makes for better characters when they're conflicted that way. I mean, if you think of like Obi-Wan in the prequel trilogy, he's quite boring because he can't go too far in one direction or another. He just sits there as he is and doesn't really change. And I think Yoda has a good balance of who he is. I think you don't quite get enough of how he found that balance, but it's clear that he has found it, because he's quite playful, or he should be quite playful. Even in death, he's quite playful. In this film, when he's dying, he's like, "Oh yeah, Luke, I forgot to tell you this. Oh, while I'm dying, remember this," and so on.
Well, that seems quite. It goes on for a while, doesn't it? Like watching. It's like I said yesterday. It's like Luke, like what? Just come on. Like, I think at that point I was a bit like this is going on a bit now. Frogman's dying, but I just he's got some, like, he's trying to get this bit of plot out of the way. He's like, yeah, he said to clear up like the Darth Vader stuff. And I was like, I don't know. Wasn't it stressing me out, but it was just it was pretty. It went on wild, didn't it? Like these, like it's kind of like in Deadpool 2, where he's like just constantly dying, and he's dying a little bit and he's coming back. I was like, come on, Yoda, just don't overstay your welcome.
Give it up the ghost. Come back as a ghost and tell me. Like, I don't want to listen right now.
Yeah. Not interested. Just get over with it.
I suppose he's built up an empire to be this kind of great master, and yeah, we know that he's kind of a bit of a trickster, kind of a bit deceitful to begin with. Maybe he's testing Luke to see if he's worthy or if he's true,
Patient.
or if he's patient, yeah, or happy to just put up with this weird little swamp thing. And then I suppose you're supposed to kind of grow to love him and then see this as a great passing, Luke's mentor, except, well, I suppose we know that Luke gets very attached to mentor type characters. Grievous Ben Kenobi longer than he does his own aunt and uncle. And then Yoda, who's known for met in person for a couple of weeks, comes back, and it's like the greatest loss to him to see his master go. It's kind of a plot device, isn't it, to kind of move things along? And I suppose for the majority of the kids in the audience will be sad to see the puppet dying. Even if it is a wee bit comical, as you say, he kind of draws it out and croaking away his last few breaths.
Meanwhile, you have to decipher what he's saying because he's saying sort of backwards.
Yeah, is he burping? Is he coughing? I don't know.
He's just having something of a turbulent death. I'm just happy that Luke managed to land the X-wing this time without drowning it.
Yeah. Do you think he would have been able to raise it himself this time?
Well, he would have had to, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yoda, I know you're at death's door, but you wouldn't mind getting a ship out this way.
Just reverse out of the drive one more time, please.
Just use the last of your life force to raise a hand here. Yeah. We know you'll be able to summon lightning in death, so this shouldn't be too hard. I think Yoda's death is quite effective. I think the score does a lot of the work there, because it does get drawn out a bit. And I don't know, are we supposed to take from it that Luke has been back to Dagobah now and again? You don't know how long it is between films, really. Whether they go straight to save Han or they kick about for a bit. There's arguments for both, I think.
Yeah, personally, I don't feel like he has. But that's probably just because I'm totally governed by what I see on screen. So I can't even bring myself to imagine what might have happened in the intervening periods. But I don't know. But just because it's kind of a part of his journey, and because it feels like it's a bit of a trek as well, that it's he takes himself all the way there, and then Yoda's been hidden away. So it feels to me like it should be this. It's not like you just pop in to see him for a cup of swamp tea and a biscuit. So he can only go back, and I guess because we know that Force ghosts can communicate across the galaxy. He could be receiving some guidance, or even not. If it's like he's not directly speaking to him, there's got to be some sort of influence that his master is inserting into his life.
There's, a couple of weeks of swinging on vines and carrying a small rodent-like creature on your back, that's enough to become a Jedi.
Yeah, that's all it takes now. Exams are just getting easier and easier for kids these days.
Well, his final exam is killing Vader, which is... That's a rough final exam. You'll be a Jedi once you kill Vader. Really? Doesn't sound very Jedi.
Boss fight?
Yeah. You just have to kill Vader and then you're fine. It's like, what do the other Jedi have to do? It's like, you know what I know. And I guess you have to isolate Luke. He has to be the hero who stands up on his own 2 feet, so to speak, so he doesn't... He can't have any backup. He can't have Yoda kicking about. He can't have Obi-Wan kicking about. He has to do this himself. That's always the last step in the hero's journey, isn't it? Where they have to face up to the problem on their own and then overcome it or be defeated by it.
Now that we know that prequel Yoda could have just waltzed in there and, flipped about the place and, owned, basically.
I don't know, those last 40 years were pretty rough on him.
I still had it in him.
He had one more flip in him. One more. That's all it would have taken. Yeah, prequel Yoda, he's only 40 years younger, but he's still as spry as they come. Weird. Again, prequels. Problem. But the Jabba's Palace thing, so I think it's well documented that Harrison Ford may not want to come back for these things, so I do think it was hastily added. I'm not basing this on anything. I think it was hastily added when they found out he was coming back. And it's the worst rescue plan you can think of. Let's all go in separately, get captured, and then hope we can just escape.
Yes, famously kind of documented as one of the worst plans ever committed to film.
Yeah, it's a wonder that it succeeds, because none of it is well thought out. Lando's disguise is the worst disguise anyone has ever worn. It's Is he pretend to be an alien? Like, the face isn't even stuck on right. Leia's disguise is pretty good. Her bounty hunter disguise that looks like the Breen from Star Trek. That's quite a cool disguise.
Bush.
Yeah.
The Mighty Bush.
The Mighty Bush, yeah. So there's that. I mean, Luke gets shoved in the Rancor pit. He doesn't have his lightsaber with him. But luckily there's a big door, so that's alright. A big Rancor killing door.
Door ex machina.
Well, it's funny how he throws a rock at it. I mean, if only I had some way to move the switch with his, without actually touching it.
Should you just remembered his training? It was all about moving rocks with the Force.
Yeah, he could have thrown the rock at the door, or he could have just, pressed it with the Force. I always feel sorry for the Rancor tamer guy, though.
Malakili.
If that's his name.
That's his name, don't wear it out.
Yeah, I always feel sorry for him. It's like he's, just crying away. Just as I guess his pet thing is killed.
That's like a true character moment there, You're only on screen in a loincloth for a couple of seconds, and yet you can, melt the coldest hearts.
with your sympathy
with your tears.
Oh, poor guy. Isaac, what do you think of the Jabba's Palace sequence?
Well, I'd missed the first half because I was just coming in from work, so I watched from when he falls into the Rancor pit.
Yeah, nothing happens before then. So.
Yeah, they just sort of... Actually, what does happen? Like, they just sort of briefly walk me through. So he gets in.
So Luke leaves a message in R2 that says, "Hi Jabba, I want to have a chat with you. As a token of my appreciation, have these droids."
Yeah.
And these droids are yours now, for some reason. And then Chewie gets captured by Leia, comes in, gets chucked in a cell.
Yeah.
And Lando's kicking about, just moving his face about because he's peeking over the whatever it is. And then Luke shows up and tries to mind trick him.
He has to fight the Rancor, etc.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun opener, I guess. There's the Rancor pit. There's Boba Fett's funny death. Like you were saying, there's the Tatooine bit, and then there's the Endor bit, and there's the Death Star bit. All as just separate mini films, all combined into one big film.
Yeah.
So I suppose it works as terms of a little fun adventure to start the movie off. Yeah, it's alright. There's all sort of stuff happening, and he's not in the other ones, is he? Jabba the Hutt. He's not in like A New Hope or anything, is he?
In the special edition, he is.
He's mentioned by name.
Yeah, Han steps on his tail,
yeah,
which is really weird.
Not the special editions.
Yeah.
Who knew I would get so much mileage out of my Rise Against? I think that the Jabba's Palace stuff is a bit like, so, you liked the cantina, did you? Well, here's some more weird aliens for you. And also music, which, admittedly, I love all the music, so Latinx, original.
Even the special edition?
No, not that.
Goes on for days.
Definitely not that. And just weird, like, aliens just bawling right into the camera, and, you can see all these, like, bits of spit and things flying from their mouths. Oh yeah, amazing. We've got the technology to animate spittle.
It's the Family Guy bit where it's the sock puppets. They've added even more for the special edition. It's just these sock puppets. And,
No, give me the original classic. Max Rebo. Is it his feet he's playing the keyboard with? Yeah, maybe. Hands, I don't know, don't care. Max Rebo, blue, he's cool.
Max Rebo, yeah. The Max Rebo band. One night only. And then the Twi'lek dancer gets fed to the Rancor as well, which is a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't enjoy that entertainment. I'm sure she's famous somewhere, but it's fine. She's now Rancor food.
Yeah, Agent's probably pretty annoying. It's like, I've not heard of her since we sent her on a gig to this thingy. It's like, the client got kind of annoyed and fed her to like this monster. It must happen quite a lot in Star Wars.
Yeah, people just go missing.
Well, I think science fiction in general is like, fed into a big monster. It's just part of the job.
It just, yeah, you might make money out of this gig, or you might get fed to a giant creature. It's 50-50.
Yeah. You gotta work with what you gotta work with, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think the Rancor homeworld is like?
Don't know. You go there in The Force Unleashed, or you go to a place where Rancor are anyway.
Really, just sort of roaming around with
Yeah.
packs of Rancor.
Yeah. Well, they're sort of individual. Although if you're unlucky, you can get 2 of them at once. It's really difficult. They are really tough to kill in The Force Unleashed. I forget what planet it is.
Not enough doors.
Maybe Felucia. Is it Felucia? I don't know. Anyway.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, you fight Rancor in The Force Unleashed, which is, pretty cool, I suppose. And there's also a bull Rancor, which is massive. Yeah, apparently they eat each other and stuff, if you read Wikipedia. That's what they do. Yeah, they fight and then eat each other, because they're, I guess, these savage giant creatures. I don't know why Jabba has one. Because I guess, what do you get? The slug that has everything.
He's an animal lover.
He's an animal lover, yeah. He also has that stupid little laughing thing that sits on his tail.
Salicious Crumb. The worst card in Star Wars Top Trumps.
Why is it the worst?
He could barely beat anyone with Salacious Crumb. I'm sure he must be able to beat someone, because it would be useless having a card that can't beat anyone at anything in Top Trumps. So yeah, I guess there's a cat. I'll have to find out what the category is, because that's got to be a trivia question.
Maybe it's the equivalent of Magikarp.
Yeah,
Completely useless.
exactly. Salacious Crumb used Splash.
It does nothing.
Yeah, I was always getting beat up by Bosk and Wampa and things like that when you get Salacious Crumb.
Well, there you go. Star Wars Top Trumps. That'll be a movie soon.
Oh,
People playing Star Wars cards. Could happen. It'll be like a follow-on from the Last Jedi, where the legend has spread and now they've just made a trading card game out of it. That's what the next film's going to be about.
Chroma Star Wars story.
Yeah. Boba Fett, as you mentioned, Isaac, gets the worst death ever, where he gets accidentally hit in the jetpack by a blind guy and thrown into a pit of a carnivorous monster.
It's almost like deliberately flipping the bird to the fans. People who kind of mythologized, and I don't know if this couldn't possibly have been happening because there wasn't. I don't know. Nowadays, I think that filmmakers do things like this, kind of throw in FUs to people every now and again, just to be like, yeah, you like this guy? Well, watch this.
Was it by this point there must have been tie-in media with Boba Fett in it, surely?
Yeah, but I mean, what like his first appearance was in the holiday special or something, and he and then people started being like, oh, who is that cool guy? He had a jetpack and a cool helmet and a cape, and like people kind of built him up and built him up and built him up, and it's almost like hilarious how bad his death is.
Yeah. He's quite cool in Empire Strikes Back. I mean, he doesn't have much to do, but it's clear that Vader respects him and things like that. But yeah, in this, he's just like, Boba Fett, where? Dead.
But according to legend, not really dead.
Yeah. Is it not? Yeah, it's the barge kills the Sarlacc or something like that, and he survives.
Yeah, something like that. Obviously you're supposed to, be digested over 1,000 years or something, which I don't understand how it makes sense if your mortal existence doesn't last beyond, say, 90, 100. Maybe, well, this is a long time ago, so maybe even 50 or 60.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's legends about how he makes it out of there, which I don't know enough about that to comment on.
No, me neither. I mean, I'm not that interested. It's funny how with Captain Phasma they said, is this going to be the next Boba Fett? It's like, yeah, pretty much, actually. Does nothing, then dies. Goodbye, Boba Fett. We hardly knew you. So, yeah, let's get to the Ewoks.
Yes.
The Ewoks are fun.
Are they though? I mean,
I quite like the Ewoks.
There's so much about the Endor, or the forest moon of Endor. Endor is the planet. Endor is a gas giant. This is a moon. The moon's never actually named, other than the forest moon. It probably is in expanded lore, but I'm not privy to that, so it's fine.
Almost certainly.
Yeah, everything about this, the Empire in these sequences is rubbish. Like, the speeder bikes, like, why would you put that, like, why would you fly those in a densely packed forest area?
Because your scout troopers are, like, amazingly skilled speeder bike pilots.
Yeah, we're just going to travel at 300 miles an hour through this densely packed and unpredictable forest. And then, yeah, we'll pelt into trees, because of course you will.
It makes a difficult level in every video game adaptation.
Except the Lego one.
Except the Lego one. I remember the Game Boy version, though. That was pretty tough.
It was one of the GameCube ones. Rogue something. Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron, Rogue something. There was a speeder bike level, and it was horrible. It was just impossible. I mean, yeah, it does make for a difficult video game level. And I wonder if, like, that is part of why they're coming up with these sequences, so you can have the toy sets, so you can have the video games. Yeah, this will make a good level in a video game. Like, no, it won't. No one will like this level in any video game.
They should have far more underwater sequences then, because every video game has to have an underwater level.
Yeah. You don't get that in this one, I guess.
No, but Alien Resurrection, yes. We cracked it. We finally cracked it.
You need an underwater.
A few podcasts too late, but cracked it.
Yeah, it'd be great. So the Empire, they're also wearing outfits that stick out like a sore thumb in a forest environment. We knew the clone troopers had like camouflage armor, so why not these guys?
Yeah, the rebels come equipped with their camo gear.
Yeah, they blend in quite nicely, except for the fact that they bring C-3PO with them.
Golden Tony.
Where he's just standing there, just large and gold.
Gleaming. And they also bring R2 because they're like, yeah, he doesn't have any rockets to be able to blast over any twigs or logs that are in the way. It's fine though, we're going to be on the perfectly paved area of the Forest Moon.
Yeah, it's fine to bring R2. We might need to plug into a tree at some point. Yeah, the Ewok stuff annoys me. It just does. I think that the fact that they bring down the Imperial troops is ridiculous. Like, they're just chucking rocks at them and chucking spears at them. It's like, their armour is worthless.
It's pretty great when you see them sort of let off an arrow from a bow, and you can just see it kind of, you know, there's absolutely no force behind it. It just kind of peters off into the distance. It's like, yep, that's the height of their weaponry. It's completely flying out of shot.
Although I love it when one of the Ewoks drops a couple of rocks on top of the AT-ST, and it does nothing.
Oh yeah, it just bounces like pointlessly off.
Yeah, but then they managed to destroy one with a couple of logs.
Yeah, they set up some pretty mean Sherwood Forest style booby traps.
It's the sort of the logs that crush it. It's like that shouldn't work. Like, what is this made of? Like paper mache? I mean, tripping them up with the Home Alone style booby trap that works, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, having walkers in that forest is stupid as well, because of the terrain, and you've got like an AT-AT at one point. It's like circling the landing pad. I mean, that stands on an uneven bit of terrain. That's going over.
Yeah, I think it just further highlights how terrible legged vehicles are. No one ever pointed it out to the Empire.
Scenarios, yeah, but I don't know what those scenarios are. Walking over a desert, I guess. A perfectly flat surface. Down a shallow incline. I don't know. Is it in Battlefront 1, the EA version, the dark side one, that you get to like run through the forest moon with a AT-ST or an AT-AT kicking about above you and stuff? I'm sure I saw that like in a demo or something.
What, do you mean the new Battlefront, or like the old?
Yeah, the new one, yeah.
Yeah, well, they did show off like some Endor stuff. I mean, there's like a hold off, what do you call it, fight waves of them sort of thing going on.
Yeah. Do you think Han regretted his decision to lead the strike team onto the planet or onto the moon because he had to deal with these pain in the arse bears that tried to eat him at first?
It was just another in a long line of inconveniences for him.
Yeah. Although I suppose the alternative is he just sits in the Falcon and says stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I suppose you get the kind of fun kids' adventure of the gang getting trapped in a net together and then, getting taken off by a tribe, carried away. They're going to get cooked and eaten. And then, of course, saved by the Golden God himself.
Yeah, it's against my programming to impersonate a deity, but I'll still do it.
Yeah, programming, schmogramming.
And then he tells the story of the last 2 films, which is really handy.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, with all the sound effects.
Yeah.
He downloaded all the sound effects that he needs onto his memory bank and was able to tell a mean story.
So Golden Tony downloads the soundboard from the Play Store, and that's able to support his story because he can just press for all the different sound effects that he needs.
And it's all perfectly legal. He paid 99 pence for it.
Yeah.
99 whatever currency they use in the Star Wars universe in the original trilogy.
Credits.
Is it? That's really boring.
I don't know. What did they pay Han Solo to get them off Tatooine?
I don't know. It's just 2,000.
Galactic credits.
Yeah, it was just thousands of something.
He probably had a lot of death stick money saved up that he could have used to.
Death stick money. Jesus. Although there's a couple of little sad bits with Ewoks, isn't there? Where they get killed and one of them just pushes his friend as it kind of lies there lifeless.
That was a sad. I do remember that. Because at first I thought it was going to be a comedy scene, and then no, the puppet is just dead. And I was like, oh, that's just depressive.
It is quite.
Yeah,
depressing.
lest we forget, they're not just blaster fodder.
Yeah. Yeah, they're apparently really good at warfare. They're better than the Empire. It also features Chewie doing a Tarzan. A Tarzan yell as he swings on a vine.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, kids love these things. Teddy bears swinging from vines. All kinds of cool stuff to watch.
Yeah. Chewie must feel like a giant among all the bears as well, because he's like a furry creature as well. He's like, yeah, I'm taller than all these guys.
But he's so old that he must. Has he encountered them before?
Who knows? Maybe he's eaten them.
Do they even make it off the planet? I don't know. First of all, I say I don't want any kind of extended universe or EU stuff. And then I'm all about wondering what the Rancor homeworld is like, and I want to know about Ewok star pilots and things. I'm guessing that they're too primitive to have ever made it to the stars, but was there ever an Ewok senator? We'll never know.
It's a shame there's no Prime Directive in the Star Wars universe, because it's just their evolution's buggered. Just this random shield generator shoved in the middle of their forest, and then whoever else.
Introducing them to strange new foods.
Yeah, and pretending to be their god. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's probably going to be pretty harmful for them.
That's alright, it's fine. Remember, we blew up the Death Star, so it's all good.
Yeah, well, they shared some amazing cultural music with us.
They did. Yub Nub.
Oh, Yub Nub.
Oh, what a song. John Williams' finest composition. And it's a different one in the extended edition, isn't it? I don't know what it is, but it's just something else.
It's the Pan Flute Subway Band.
All right. Yeah. As Jar Jar Binks makes a cameo, or at least a Gungan.
Yeah, I wonder about that. There's got to be some support for the Empire, because got to have some kind of infrastructure kind of spread out around the galaxy, and yet it seems like everyone in the major population centers is just out celebrating.
Yeah, toppling statues. Except
Yeah.
the theatrical edition, all they do is they burn the forest with their fireworks and stuff like that.
I think that's one of the better additions. Like we go like around the universe and you see all the different people celebrating.
Yeah, I mean it's not too bad. Like it's fine. I think you can sort of take it or leave it. I suppose it's less egregious than some of the other ones, such as Vader yelling "No" just before he throws Palpatine off the platform. Yeah, it's like no, you already know what Vader's thinking. You don't need to say that.
He says it twice. He says it kind of quietly to himself.
Yeah.
Nah, mate. And then, no.
It ruins the moment completely. It's also
George.
badly mixed as well. It doesn't sound right. It's like me editing out swearing in a podcast. It's like, I mean, I don't know what other changes are in this film. Well, other than the horrible musical sequence at the beginning. Just other bits and pieces, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we know of one very specific blue edition.
Yeah. Hayden Christensen.
That's the one.
Yep.
That's another one I prefer as well. I prefer having
There's one. Someone
like
likes it.
as opposed to just some guy. Like I like that it's like they've sort of gone. He was Vader back in the day, so we've got him back to to play the light side Darth Vader. I think that's like a decent, like that makes sense as opposed to having,
Poor Sebastian Shaw.
Yeah, Sebastian Shaw Vader. It just looks weird. Like it looks like what Darth Vader looked like if he hadn't been really burnt. Because if he would have been burnt, he wouldn't have had like his fine eyebrows and full head of like jet black hair.
You think Obi-Wan looks over at him and he's like, who is that guy?
Who's this dude?
Although the thing is, if you haven't seen the prequels, you'll look at Hayden Christensen and be like, who's this guy? And why is he much bluer than everyone else? It's quite a clumsy addition. He's also wearing like the white robes because all they did was replace the head. So like, Anakin never wore white robes.
It's a ghost. He's got a whole new fashion.
Yeah, you get a whole wardrobe in Jedi heaven.
It's like you have to wear this.
Well, Lando stole Han's clothes and Anakin stole Qui-Gon's clothes.
Yeah. Although Lando does have quite an impressive cape early on in this film.
William December.
Well, he's Han's making fun of him for leading the offensive. Yeah, but I've got this cape, so that's why they made me general because of this cape. Generals wear capes.
Dressed to impress.
That was it. Yeah, it's like you threw out all my capes when you stole my ship, but I kept some.
But we did see that the weird disguise as well.
Yeah, that must have been in his closet. Just this old thing. I'll chuck this on. This should work.
Yeah, dress up.
Jabba the Hutt doesn't know who I am anyway. So the kind of battle for Endor in space, that's really cool. Like even to this day, it still looks really good. There's a lot going on. They've got a lot of model work flying about. It's to make it work without CGI is really impressive. It's the biggest thing they've ever attempted, or had ever attempted up until that point.
I'd say, yeah, definitely holds up.
Yeah. And just Admiral Akbar, of course, is comedy gold. All he wants to do is get there and get on the offensive, and then as soon as they get there, all he wants to do is leave.
Hey man, he knows what he wants eventually.
And then, they're flying up close to Star Destroyers. It's some random A-wing pilot that manages to save the day by crashing into the bridge. That was a nice touch. Lando loses the deflector dish, or the satellite dish.
Is the fact that they're going up against basically the same thing as from the first film, problem? And is it even worse now that Starkiller Base is a thing?
Oh, it's definitely worse now that Starkiller Base is a thing. Starkiller Base is ridiculous. Like, that thing shouldn't exist. It's so stupid. It's like a planet that just kills other planets. Like, what is that about? But yeah, the second Death Star, it's like, oh, good, another one. Why is this one better than the last one? I mean, it's easier to blow up. Well, because it's not finished. So they can just fly inside. That makes for a bad level in Rogue Leader, I think it's called, as well. Flying about inside the Death Star, too.
Yeah, that was pretty difficult, avoiding all those pipes and things.
Yeah. Just near the Millennium Falcon as well, which is not the most maneuverable thing in the universe.
And then, once you've blown up the core, trying to get out again and escape those flames.
Yeah, I feel Lando's pain. Although he didn't seem that bothered. He was quite on board with it.
He had it handled.
He just lost the Sky Dish. TV's gone. There'll be no Sky movies for us this evening. It's a shame. I did want to see that scene where Han got the Falcon back and was like, what the hell have you done? Where's the dish?
Well, Han was not the best owner. Like, we see it in Solo and it's like shiny as and it's lovely and there's a cape room, and then like Han and Chewie get it and they just ruin it.
They basically rip all the bits off of it.
Those smuggler compartments, though. Got those under the floor compartments you would never think to look in.
Yep, or scan.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know what he does with the cape room. I guess I don't know, he's turned it into a meat freezer or something like that.
The meat freezer.
Yeah.
Maybe him and Chewie wore the capes for a bit.
They just...
We'll have to wait and see in Solo again. Solo 2.
Solo 2. Solo harder. Yeah, but the Battle for Endor, the fighter stuff is really cool. A lot of people die. The Death Star is just taking pot shots at ships. I'm sure they could fly very slowly away until they run out of fuel, though. That would work. That's why the Star Destroyers are there, to stop them doing that. Yeah, no complaints about that part. So the two slices in this film I like are the Luke and Vader stuff and the space battle. Everything else I don't like.
I don't think I'm quite as harsh a critic, but I agree that those are the best bits.
Yeah. Even though it is a lot of like Lando just sitting there talking to someone that doesn't speak English and then just sort of agreeing with them. Which is quite funny. Just, he says stuff and he's like, yeah, you said it. Like, I'm so glad you brought that up. Although he survives to the Abrams trilogy, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's the original actor.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So,
you need to know it's the same guy in the suit.
Yeah, he probably gets a lot of work at conventions. As that guy, I've said a lot in Star Wars, but none of it was in English. No one understood a word I said, except Lando.
Oh, the sort of toad guy.
His co-pilot.
Nine
Yeah, his co-pilot. You notice how I wonder who's manning the guns though, because it's been established that the guns need to be manually operated.
I mean, you can have just some rebels, I guess.
A couple of rebels just sitting there in those guns, while Lando just flies around.
Yeah, you can easily just get a couple of guys in just to be it's supposed to be crewed after all. It's supposed to have like a gang of people on it, I think, isn't it? Yeah, it's supposed to be like a big ship, so they've got space to.
Yeah, it's a freighter, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got space to fit a few guys in there. Unless I'm mostly going off the Lego model. I know that's pretty big. Quite fit like a fair few little Lego guys in there. So I'm guessing the Star Wars counterpart can fit.
Or you can fit the entire Resistance in it at the end of it.
You can fit the entire Resistance in it.
Well, yeah, depends how big your resistance is.
Yeah. I'm sure they couldn't fit the entire Rebel Alliance in there because they had quite a lot of ships. Big ass medical frigate, for example, that was insane. I love the variety of ships for the Rebel, like the Rebel fleet. Even though they do seem to be largely support based, they seem to be quite useless, like in combat themselves.
They do bring on a whole load of extra races, whereas it was like mainly humans to begin with, but then all the aliens must have thought, right, let's pile on in here. We're rebelling as well.
It's still only 2 women.
Yeah, well, it was the 80s.
Yeah, Mon Mothma with our famous "Many Bothans died" to bring us this information. What the hell is a Bothan?
Doesn't matter, it's dead.
Why should I care?
All the Bothans died. We'll never find out what they are.
Every Bothan died, doesn't matter.
Many Bothans. And if they're a species of spies, then why are they spies? Because surely everyone knows that they're spies because they're Bothans.
Maybe the most trustworthy race ever. It's like, oh, it's not fine, it's a Bothan.
Yeah.
Literally, they don't know how to lie. It's fine. And it's like, they have to have special training and everything, so the Empire can't tell that they're...
Yeah.
If captured, immediate cyanide capsule.
But bring us this information, somehow. I put in the agenda about like closure for characters. I don't think Lando gets anything, like any kind of character development in this at all. He just kind of sits in the Millennium Falcon and then says stuff. Has faith in Han getting the shield down. That's all he does. It's like, no, we're staying, because Han will do it. And it's like, guys, we've lost like half our fleet. Can we just leave? It's like, no, we'll be fine. Just fly.
Yeah, I suppose. He's introduced, kind of halfway through the saga. He's a supporting character. He does what he needs to do, and then kind of shows up for the victory party at the end, which isn't a bad way to be. I'd quite like to show up halfway through, double cross my old friend, but then triple cross the Empire and win. Pretty good.
And then blow up their Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Wedge helps though.
Only get nearly strangled by a Wookiee, but it was all worth it.
It's all nearly strangled, yeah. It looks like for Shaun of the Skywalker, it'll be the Lando and Chewie show in the Falcon. Even though
did we say when we were coming up with titles, did we say the Skywalking Dead?
We did not.
Damn it! I'm sure someone had said that when we were talking about zombies.
Skywalking Dead. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh well, that'll be the title of the episode 9 podcast when we do it.
Okay, we'll have to think of some organic way of getting that in there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, you have a few months.
Okay.
Yeah, nearly half a year, so we're okay. Plenty of time.
I'll write the script.
Write the script for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes, this is all scripted, which is even worse when we think about it. Han and Leia get a bit of closure, I guess. I mean, they get together. They decide to get together. That's closure in itself.
They do, and get to hang out in a treehouse. That's quite good.
Yeah, Leia gets to solve her daddy issues without ever speaking to her daddy. So that's fun. So how was your so how about our father, Luke? That's why I killed him. We're about to burn him though. You can that.
Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
It's all taken care of.
It's
barbecue.
Just yeah. It's just hilarious when the Death Star's about to blow up, the alarm's going off, and Luke's just dragging Vader around. Where you've got like Imperial stormtroopers and officers just running around, just not paying attention. I mean, I wouldn't go near the guy that was dragging Darth Vader around.
They're like the guys that kind of turn the other way when Kylo Ren's smashing the place up. Let's just leave it.
Let's go the long way around. It's fine. Yeah. Just dragging Vader around the Death Star. It's really funny. So where would you say this sits in the pantheon of Star Wars movies? It's definitely the third best for me. I mean, I'm not really placing the new trilogy yet. I think Last Jedi would be pretty high on my list, but certainly out of we'll say the original 6, this is definitely in third position. After, well, it goes Empire, then New Hope, then this, for me.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I find it's difficult to place the new ones, the Disney era. Still trying to kind of see how it all fits together, and because definitely Force Awakens, I like it more than you do, Craig. But because it's so much of a, you might say, rip-off, reboot, rehash, yes. it borrows so heavily from the original trilogy that I find it very difficult to place it, because it plays on nostalgia so much, and I always go on about how much nostalgia colours how I view these films. So I liked it because of that, but because I recognise that without the originals, then it couldn't be what it is. So I can't say that it's better than them, or even really place it amongst the original trilogy. I have listened to probably about 940 something episodes of Star Wars Minute, where they quite often do they ask their guests to rank all of the Star Wars movies, so the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, all the Disney films. And whenever people put Jedi, Return of the Jedi first, it seems to be because they were exactly the right age. Like that was the first Star Wars movie that they saw in cinemas, and that they were, young enough to kind of overlook a lot of the stuff that we now critically look down on.
Yeah.
But it hit them right in the sweet spot, and Ewoks did it for them. Weird aliens in Jabba's palace did it for them. Being scared of Vader and Palpatine did it for them. And I think that people who really love Return of the Jedi are of that similar kind of age. So either saw it in the cinema first, or maybe they had it on DVD or video or something when they were younger, and it was their favorite one that they put on all the time. I think for the same reason, it is fun. It's fun to revisit, and even though I can recognize that it doesn't, maybe not quite as good, whatever we want to say, compared to Star Wars and Empire, because I enjoy the trilogy so much, I can't enjoy the finale to the trilogy without watching Jedi, and without having that kind of crazy Ewok battle on the forest moon, and everything else that comes with it, and gives you that kind of gives you the end of Luke's saga.
Yeah, I mean the Luke stuff is, I don't think you could get any better. It does have the best lightsaber battle of the trilogy. Where Luke's just swinging it about like a club, just haphazardly, just beating Vader with it, basically. And I think this was at the point where lightsabers were still heavy. Like, they were supposed to have a lot of weight behind them until they realised, we can flip about and, do a bit of swordplay with them in the prequel trilogy. And I mean, that's valid in itself, and I think that they could have explained that by you have different weight classes of lightsabers. So, like, but when Anakin is using his, the lightsaber that Luke had before this point, that really should be heavy, because it was heavy before. It's kind of heavy in the new trilogy again, kind of. There's some weight behind it, but they're just little, they're weightless sticks essentially in later stuff / earlier stuff. But I love Luke's green lightsaber in this. That's the coolest one.
Yeah.
Like, even the handle just looks really cool. I don't know, it just looks a lot sleeker and everything else. And I guess this was back in the time where it denoted a rank within the Jedi, what colour lightsaber you had, whereas not so much now.
Well, I just think it was cool because, he came back and he was like emo before emo, going all black, and I guess that was to make you think that he was, is he being seduced by the dark side. Yeah. And he makes this new lightsaber, and before we'd only seen blue and red, and then it's this green, and you don't even know what to think of that. Like, what does this mean? But yeah, it was like when there wasn't much variety, even having one slight change made something really exotic, and you're like, oh, this is totally different.
It's all
amazing.
because they needed to show it against the blue sky. That's why they changed the colour, apparently. Otherwise, it wouldn't have shown up against the Tatooine skyline. There you go. Necessity is the mother of invention. There must have been comics, right, where there was like different coloured lightsabers as well, and even the poster has like different coloured ones.
Everything looked that same shade of green in the Game Boy game.
Unless you were playing on a Game Boy Pocket or Color.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. This was Super Return of the Jedi, which was probably like the massive downgrade from the SNES game, in which you would have been able to see the color. But this is the one I played the most. So yeah, everything was just like either like that dark green or that slightly lighter green.
That SNES game is solid though.
Yeah,
really difficult. Really good, but really hard.
Good game.
Yeah. Isaac, what do you think of this one in sort of relation to the others in the trilogy? You already said this is kind of your favourite, so how would you rank the other two?
So my favourite's Force Awakens.
No, I just mean the original trilogy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm trying to go through, like, in my head.
Alright.
Because I also I do like a few of the I like the Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. So I don't know I reckon, yeah, it's the best of the original trilogy, but in terms of just the non-Star Wars stories ones, I don't remember these films very well at all. So I'm going to probably put this one as the best one, however, of the original trilogy, and then you probably get I couldn't tell you anything about A New Hope, so that's probably the weakest one, and then I guess you just you go in with a 4, 5, 6 order. But in the grand scheme of Star Wars things, I think they're sort of in the bottom rung.
So you think that A New Hope, aka Star Wars, is the worst one of all of them?
I think Phantom Menace is worse than New Hope, but
okay.
I'd probably put Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith higher than A New Hope. I'd probably go. Well, I'm going to go through all of them just so it's easiest. You know what I mean? But yeah, the bottom is Phantom Menace, New Hope, probably Last Jedi, I think, because I keep sort of swinging on that one. Revenge of the Sith, Empire Strikes Back, Attack of the Clones. No, I've lost track. Whatever. The important thing is, yeah, this is the best of the original 3. However, in the long run, the original trilogy I don't remember it very well, so I'm not a very good judge when it comes to these films.
Very
Fascinating.
Nice. Yeah. You can always count on Isaac to be against the grain. Just far against the grain. So, that is us at the end, I think. Isaac, do you have any final thoughts on Return of the Jedi? Nope.
Nope. Sorry, I was trying to think of something to end it on, like a nice sort of comment. I do like the green lightsabers are my favourite colour of lightsaber.
Fair one.
That's my big finale moment.
Yep. Angus, any final musings?
Yeah, just more of the same. Really, it's a load of fun. It caps off the original trilogy. I think it's definitely flawed in ways that we've discussed, but I can't let those kind of bring me down at all, because I just love the trilogy so much that I would enjoy watching all of them, and it's a great ending to a great trilogy. And I'm not kind of too upset by where the saga went after that, with the Force Awakens and what happens to our beloved characters. I can kind of separate it enough that I think this is the end of one story, and I think it's a great ending. I don't have to worry too much that it does continue several years later, and maybe things didn't turn out quite so well. I can still think of this as a happy ending.
Fair enough. My final thoughts are, yeah, I enjoy parts of it. I think parts of it are the best that the franchise has to offer. I also think parts of it are among the worst the franchise has to offer. So it's very much a mixed bag. I do still enjoy it. I do love these characters. I think it's good as a swan song to certainly Luke Skywalker, although it's not a swan song to Luke Skywalker. But, it could be. If that's where you want to leave your Luke Skywalker, that's fine. That's where he ends, then you can imagine that he creates this Jedi Order that's like perfect and amazing, and the galaxy is at peace again for the rest of time. If that's how you want to consider it, then that's fine. Some people don't want to acknowledge the new films, and maybe I'll be one of those later on, but it depends on how the Skywalking Dead goes. Who knows?
Get that going.
That's it. We'll get that. We'll get that going. Disney is just parading around the corpse of Star Wars, trying to get money out of it. It works. Yeah. So yeah, it's fine. I think Empire will always be my favourite. I think it's just such a very, very good film. But yeah, this is okay. It's parts of it I like, parts of it I don't. Parts of it I feel like I'm suffering through. I get to the better parts. It's like, let's cut away from the bears. I want to see Luke looking out the window. At this repeating GIF that he keeps looking at of the thing being destroyed. It's like nothing's happening. It's like, oh look, there's a light that we saw earlier. It's fine. Just Palpatine sitting there with his it's like Speed. He's got his VCR hooked up to the window, just repeating the same image over and over again. It could work. It's all part of his plan. But yeah, I will leave on wishing everyone a happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you all.
And also with you.
Yep, may the 4th be with all of us.
Amen.
So that was our discussion of Return of the Jedi. A special thanks to YouTuber Ian Wright for his cover of the Star Wars theme, and YouTuber PudgeNet for his cover of Yubnub. If you like what you heard, then hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, or any major podcasting app. iTunes users, please do leave us a rating and comment. You can also find us on Spotify. If you want to discuss Star Wars or anything else, then hit us up on Facebook or Twitter under Kneel Before Blog, or leave a comment under kneelbeforeblog.co.uk. A happy May the 4th to you all, and we hope you'll join us on the next Kneel Before Pod.
Hallelujah, glow, you chop a glow, you glow, peaching the food, a duty, a gunda, go to chop to goo, yap, go to chop to do, yawa, go to chop to do, yacha, hallelujah, love, hallelujah, love, hallelujah, love. Glow, each up the glow.